Hello and welcome. My name is Kate Cornick and I'm the CEO of LaunchVic, and it's great to be with you today for this grant round information session for investor education programs. I'd like to begin, as we always do, by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet. For us, it's the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. I am very much looking forward to walking you through these slides today, and we will get going straight away. So the first thing to start with is perhaps a little bit of background information on why we're doing this grant round, and it is preceding the announcement of our new strategy. LaunchVic is delighted to be refunded by the Victorian Government in the budget earlier this year. We have not yet announced our new strategy, but this grant round does precede this. The reason for that is that we have investor education programs that are coming to an end at the end of this year. They've been under grant management with LaunchVic for some time, and we're looking for new or indeed existing providers to come forward to help ensure there's continuity for aspiring investors in the Victorian market. And we want to make sure that they're up and operational early in the new year. So that's the reason we're looking at doing this particular grant round. The reason for that is that, as you may be aware, the Victorian ecosystem is growing rapidly. We're home to more than 3,500 startups. The number of startups has grown 3.5 times since LaunchVic started its program of work back in 2017. The valuation of our ecosystem has grown 23 times. The ecosystem is now valued at close to $130 billion. In 2023, nearly 700 million was invested into Victorian startups, and this was a reduction from 2021 and 2022 levels, which were exceptionally busy years for investors, and that was the case for around the world. And while we're continuing to see investment flow, we continue to be concerned at LaunchVic around the amount of investment, particularly early stage investment, and by that we mean seed, Series A, investments flowing to startups, which continues to flatline. So bringing new investors into the ecosystem is a critical part of the work that we're doing at LaunchVic, and the investor education programs that we will support through this grant round will ensure continuity of services for investor education providers. So the grant round objectives are really straightforward. We want to continue to increase the number of active early stage investors in Victoria. We want programs that build the capability and confidence of those investments to equip them with best practice knowledge and skills so they feel confident and capable in going out and investing in Victorian startups. And that way we will see more investments flow that will in turn support growth of the sector. And hopefully in 4 years' time, we'll see a continued rise in the ecosystem capabilities, as I showed on the former slide. So for the purpose of this particular grant round, we're talking about, as I mentioned before, early stage investors, and particularly focusing on seed and Series A. And yes, we do include pre-seed and seed as part of that. So it's really the very first money that's flowing in to a startup. But we certainly recognise that early stage investors include sophisticated investors, family offices, but they may also include corporate venturing teams, emerging fund managers, founders turned funders, and also existing angels who want to improve their skills and confidence so that they can continue to invest capably into our ecosystem. So the investor education program that we're looking for is a program that's going to equip those investors with confidence and capability. And we're thinking of programs that run for a designated period of time. We're not looking at event-style programs to this. We're really looking at quality education that's going to help our emerging investors with introductions to key players, understanding emerging technologies, trends, and how to invest in a sensible way into the sector. So the eligibility for the program is, it can be a new or existing investor education program. We have supported proudly a couple of programs, in particular the VC Catalyst program at the Wade Institute, and also StartMate's First Believers program has been supported through the work that we've done with StartMate. So we're very happy to receive applications from existing providers, but also from new providers. The program must focus on building the confidence and capabilities through through an educational style program. Just to reiterate, we're not looking at event style programs here. The program must have demonstrable experience in delivering successful investor education programs. And we're looking at applicants that will seek up to $1 million over 3.5 years to provide their services. Now, one of the things that I will add is the type of organisation that we're looking to apply. We've actually narrowed the focus from previous grant rounds. We're very clearly looking for organisations that are either headquartered in Victoria or already have offices in Victoria. We're not necessarily looking to bring new programs to market. We recognise we have great programs here in Victoria and believe the market is deep enough here to see quality programs come forward locally rather than trying to attract programs from other states or indeed overseas at this point in time. So only those companies that have got registered headquarters or offices in Victoria are eligible to apply. The grant round timing, congratulations, you found out about it. It was launched last week, and here we are today at the information session. The grant round closes on Tuesday, the 19th of November at 10 a.m. And inevitably, every grant round, there is always that one person whose dog ate their homework and they had some massive computer fail and could not submit on time. We are very strict. It has to be by 10 a.m. You've got plenty of notice, so perhaps try and aim to get it in the day before. And then we'll make sure that if you miss that 10 a.m. or you won't miss that 10 a.m. deadline, because any late applications will not be accepted. We intend to assess quite quickly those applications, and we will do our best to communicate certainly those people moving forward to stage 2 by the 25th of November, and any clearly unsuccessful applications will also get informed by that date. Once you've got through the first round, we'll expect you to be able to attend an information session or Q&A session on the 27th of November, and that will then, the successful people out of that will move forward to the next stage by the 6th of December. We expect contracting to conclude before Christmas, and an announcement will follow once contracts are executed, either around the Christmas period or early in the new year. And that will allow those programs to be up and operational quickly in the new year to continue providing services and make sure that our aspiring investors have great opportunities to get educated in the Victorian market. So onto the key assessment criteria, and these are set out in the guidelines. I'll step through what we are looking for, but as I say, these are all in the guidelines. The first thing we want to do is a very brief overview. This is a succinct summary that we'll be able to use in our own communications, but we also want to understand, how does the program differentiate from any other investor education programs that are in market? We want you to really show us that you understand who's offering these sorts of services and how is your program different. We're paying a lot of attention to experience and expertise, and that notes the fact that we have got some really capable providers in the Victorian market, some of which we support, some of whom we don't. So we want to make sure that you're really clearly set out the applicant's experience, so the program's experience in delivering investor education, as well as the individual people. So we're asking for a one-page summary of the person responsible for project management, the CEO, project manager, whatever their title is, but also CVs for the people that are involved in facilitating the program. That's really important that we have high-quality facilitators. So we're asking for those one-page summaries to include the name, role, LinkedIn profile, as well as a brief summary of their experiences that are relevant to the investor education program. We're also very keen to know who else you intend to involve in the delivery of your investor education program, including indicative guest speakers. If they are known guest speakers that you can confirm, that will certainly give us a lot of confidence in your proposal. But at this stage, we are only asking for indicative guest speakers. But if you're able to confirm who is definitely going to be speaking, that will be certainly highly regarded. The program delivery is all the usual stuff. We want to know your proposed timeframe. We are funding the grant for over up to 3.5 years. So we need a time frame. You might propose a 1-year program. You might propose a program that stretches over those 3.5 years. It's up to you to determine what sort of program you're delivering and convince us that this is the best sort of program to support. We obviously want to know the number and length of the cohorts, the target audience, the number of investors supported through each cohort. Particularly important is the recruitment strategies. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit that's been taken by the existing investor education programs, people who are really hungry for education. So we recognize as time goes on, it's getting harder to reach out to people, to attract new people into the ecosystem, to encourage them to invest. So how are you going to reach those people? Because we know they're out there, but we do have to encourage them to get involved. So what are your recruitment strategies is really important to that. We want to know the proposed cost of the program to participants. We're certainly not opposed to people paying. Investors are there because they have got money by definition. So we're certainly not opposed to them paying for the program. But are you proposing to offer discounts, for example, for Victorians, or scholarships, for example, to diversity and equity and inclusion candidates? And how are they going to be funded? We want to understand the delivery mechanisms, and including the location, as well as the curriculum overview. And also important is how you're going to manage your alumni. So that's something that is increasingly important. We recognise more and more people are managing alumni through various programs. So how you support that is really important. We like to see details on the partners, if there are any, as well as other activities that will support the growth of an investment community. That might, for example, include events, etc. We are asking you to upload a timeline as an uploaded file. We want to know the expected outcomes. Please tell us what you think those are and how they're going to be tracked and reported. On funding, this is always the one that amuses us the most at LaunchVic, because it's always very interesting how many budgets don't add up. It's a sizable number of grant applications that budgets don't add. So please make sure that your budgets do add. We want to know the amount of funding that you're requesting from LaunchVic, as well as in any cash or in-kind contributions. They're not mandatory, but they will be reviewed favourably. We want to know any income you're expecting to generate, for example, through program fees, as well as any cash or in-kind contributions from partner organisations. And as I said, we have a budget table. Please make sure it adds up. If it does not add up, please work hard at it. You will certainly lose significant points in the assessment process if your budgets don't add. The two final things are very important to LaunchVic. First of all, diversity and inclusion. How are you going to ensure and incorporate the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion in your program? That includes both the people who are delivering the program, as well as the recruitment and the people that you're bringing into the program as participants. And finally, we have got a laser-like focus at the moment on sustainability. We want to make sure that programs that we fund are sustainable, and we recognise a number of them are on a pathway to sustainability. So please make sure that you have really clearly articulated how you are going to become sustainable, and how you intend the program to be supported beyond the term of this grant. I'm going to jump through to questions. I know I saw Bronwyn put a flag up a moment ago. I've got a couple of questions here, but please pop them in the chat and I will view them as they come in. I can't see any in there at the moment. A few that we had prepared is how many applications will be funded. We don't expect a huge number. We're looking at applications up to $1 million, and we may only support 1 to 2 programs. This recognises that the sort of investor that we're trying to target, there's not huge numbers of them. We certainly don't want to flood the market with investor education programs, but we are looking for really viable programs. When will you know if the application is successful? I went through that a moment ago. It does depend on the stage. Applications close on the 19th of November. We're expecting to do the first round of assessment by the 25th of November. Those people who are clearly ineligible will be communicated to by that date. There will then be a Q&A session. That will be on the 27th of November. Again, those that are clearly ineligible or unsuccessful will be communicated to shortly after that. We expect the successful applicants, to be notified around the 6th of December, with contracting to begin shortly thereafter. There is another question we might get is not how many startups should the accelerator support, but how many investors should the program support? We're really leaving that open to you. Please tell us how many investors you think the program can support. Different programs have very different approaches. Some of them are much more bespoke, targeting family offices, high net worth, versus others that are more mass market towards sophisticated investors, of which there's many more potential candidates. So it really depends on the program. As I mentioned before about match funding, we certainly view that favourably, and we have a laser-like interest in sustainability. So we do want to understand how sustainability works. The final question that we've put up here, which is one we always get asked, is can we chat to someone about LaunchVic? And unfortunately, the answer is no. We take probity very seriously, and we want all grant applications to have access to the same information. But what we do ask you to do is send through any questions that you might have on a Q&A, into an email to our grants email. I'll ask one of the team to pop that grants email into the chat. It's grants@launchvic.org. That we'll be able to answer your question there, and we'll then update the frequently asked question document with the answer we provide you, so everybody has access to the same information. Please feel free to send those questions through. I can't see any questions coming up, but if there are any, please do let us know. I'll hang around for another few seconds, but if there are no more questions, we wish you well and look forward to receiving your application. It doesn't look like there are any more questions coming through, so I'd like to thank everybody for attending today, and hope everything goes well, and we look forward to seeing those applications coming in by the 29th of November, I think it is, and 26th of November at 10 a.m. Please remember, we don't accept late applications. Thanks very much, and see you soon.